Alrighty, this podcast is for CNT120. We're looking at our Network Design Lab, and what I want to do in this podcast is show you how to get your cost sheet started using Google Docs. As a student here at Hacknow, you have access to Google Docs, so we can use that for our project and pulling the project together. This might help make things a little easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. Here's, the overview. Here's the details of the different parts of the building and the ports we need. The first part we're working on, the map, and then as we go down through getting our cost sheet, which is the part we're working on right now, and then last part, the justification. Well, we're mainly concerned with, I'm jumping around here, sorry. We're mainly concerned with right now just starting our cost sheet. So I'm going to continue to scroll down through, because towards the end here I start giving you directions on how to pick out your gear. So I'm going to use this first example, picking out our switch. We'll pick out a switch and then we'll start our cost sheet or our spreadsheet for that. So I'm actually going to go to our Cisco website, and say I want to pick out a switch, and I'm going to roughly use the directions that are on that paper there, and say, okay, I want a switch, and the type we're looking for is a campus LAN access switch. And in here I say, all right, I'm going to scroll down through, and I'm going to start down around here. This is roughly what we have in the room that we use in lab, so this is a good place to start. I'm going to click on that, and from here this gives me some sales overview of the features and capabilities and that sort of thing. But what I really want to see is the different models that they have, so I can start comparing port counts and all that jazz. So as I scroll down through, this is actually the chart I really want, showing me the different switches that they have, the port counts and all that kind of good stuff. So this is where I would actually look at this and figure out, oh, actually, this is what I want. I want 48 ports of Power over Ethernet. Okay, yeah. And this is how I actually pick out my model number. So once I've looked at these details and made sure these are the correct things I need for my building, this is how I grab my model number. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'll take that model number and I'll go to one of my price sources. And I gave you two in the design lab. Actually here in the design lab, I say, hey, you can use CDW or GovConnection. I use them because they're just good commercial sites for buying gear. And I'm going to pick on CDW right now, just not because they're the be-all end-all, but they usually have what we're looking for. So I'm going to load their page, and I'm going to take the model number and plop it right into, let's try that again. All right. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. I will load their page, and then I'm going to plop the model number in. So I'm just going to, right here off the bat, I'm going to put the model number that I picked off the Cisco site in here, and I should come up with that switch. And as I scroll down through, it's actually looking like SmartNet agreements. Here we go. Here's our switch, 296048 port. There's the actual switch we're looking for. This would be a price for my switch now. The gist here is when you're picking out gear, you always start with a manufacturer, get a model number, and take it to a price source. That's a good way to go. That way you're actually getting the switch you're looking for. So now that I have my switch picked out and I have a price for it, didn't say this stuff was cheap, I can start putting this into a spreadsheet, or what I would call a cost sheet, showing all the gear that we need for our plan. Well, in the other podcast I showed you how to do this with the Excel spreadsheet, but this one I'm going to show you how to use Google Docs to do it. So I've logged into my hack. Now my hack might just look a little different than yours, but it's still the basic idea. You should have a link up here or on the side that has Google Apps. I'm going to open up my Google Apps, and you probably have some link here for like Drive for Students kind of thing. I'm going to do Drive for Employees, but it's roughly going to be the same thing for you. I'm going to open up my Google Drive, and in here I've already created folders for different classes I'm doing. All I would need to do is say New, and in here do Folder and create a folder. In my 120 folder I actually have a drawing started, but I'm going to do a new Google Sheet for my spreadsheet here. And in here I can give it a name. I can give it a name right at top. I'll double click in here. I'll say CNT, CNT120 Network Design Lab or something. Network Design Cost Sheet or something of that nature. Okay. In here I then can also move this to a specific folder if I need to. Right now it's in 120, so I'm good, but if I needed to move it, I could select that to do that, and it's automatically going to be saving changes right into that folder for me. So there's my file started in pointed to the folder, my CNT120 folder. Now, for a cost sheet, I need a couple things. Usually along the top here, I'll put my titles. I'll say the item that I'm dealing with, and this is going to be my router, if you will. I'm just putting it super generic. Actually, I'll start with switch because that's what we picked out. One of the next ones we'll pick is a router. Later on, we'll pick an access point. Okay. So there's some of the general things I'm going to be looking for. But I want a description here. What is this thing? And then beside that, I always want the model number. What's the model number of that thing? So let's grab that right away. I'm going to come over here to, this is actually the description. Okay. And I will paste that right in. Now we'll worry about formatting this in just a minute. And actually, I probably should start formatting right now because it's spilling over to the next line. I'm going to select my top line up here, and let's make this guy bold. And let's over here, let's pick our alignment, make them center. And if you want to make them larger, you can make them larger if you want your titles larger or something. Okay. Now my other lines here, I'll select all these cells because these are probably going to be where all my stuff is. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pick my word wrap. Here's my text wrap choice right here. I'll do text wrap and I'll have it wrapped. That way it's not spilling over into cells around it. And I'm probably going to slide my description over a little bit so I have a little bit more room for it. And I might make my model number a little wider too. Okay, so I'm saying this is the switch I'm picking out. Here's the description for it. So I know by looking at it, it's a 48 port gigabit switch. I want to put the model number in. So I'm going to come over here and I'll grab the model number. Here it is. This WS model number. So I'll plug that in. That allows me later on, if I need to shop around, that I can do that. Then I always want to put, unit cost or quantity kind of thing. So maybe I'll do quantity. I'll follow that by unit cost. What's the cost of one of these guys? And then this would be the total cost if I were dealing with multiple switches for any reason. So in this case, I'm just ordering one for my plan, but if I needed to change that, I can increase that. The unit cost for this guy is $45.34. I could just copy that right over if I wanted to. I will plop that right in there. Now, I'm going to need to format these cells to be currency. So I will highlight them. I will need to right click on top of them, and I should be able to do a format cell. Where is my formatting? Actually, I think I need to up here. Here's my formatting. I will do formatting and I'll tell it what kind of number I want. Come over here and I do want currency. So now it's actually showing dollars. My last column should be a total of, if I were ordering two switches for some reason, what the total cost would be. So I'm going to put a formula here. I will highlight this cell and say equals, letting it know I'm doing a formula. I will click on this one and saying the contents of this cell, asterisk for multiply. Click on this cell and say the contents of this cell. So I'm now taking this cell, multiply by this cell. So I'm clicking here, asterisk for multiply, and then clicking here, then I hit enter. Now I've made a formula that if for any reason I change any of these, if I change the quantity here for any reason, or I change the price over here for any reason, it's calculating that for me. And I'm going to end up doing this for multiple devices as my project goes along. So I'm going to highlight this cell, click this little square and drag it down. That way, as I put in future gear, the formula is already here. So as I put my router in later on and say I want one and it costs me $7,000 or whatever it is, it's already calculating the total for me. All right. So there is real quickly starting my, actually picking out my first piece of equipment, getting my price for it, and then actually starting my spreadsheet using Google Docs, in this case Google Sheets. And it's automatically saving as I go. So if I were to close this tab out and go back to my Google Drive, there it is. There's my network design cost sheet, and I can open it any time. And then I can later on, if I want to, download this for submission. That'll be something we do towards the end. So there is looking at my first piece of equipment and starting my spreadsheet using Google Docs. Saving my Google spreadsheet sheet into my Google Drive, which you have access to. So that'll be a good start for you for your project.